Where were you when you heard Kyle Pitts and his new contract extension? The facts and figures on it. They signed him to a 3-year, $54 million contract, $36 million fully guaranteed, making him one of the NFL's highest paid tight ends. They had until July 15th to get this done. Otherwise, Kyle would have been on the franchise tag. So are you surprised they made this happen right now?
I am. I definitely am. And we spent a lot of time yesterday praising Kyle Pitts, talking about the maturation process and everything that kind of comes along with everything we've heard out of him throughout the offseason. I mentioned yesterday, it's kind of, look, I'll plant my flag. I'm bought into the maturation of Kyle Pitts. I believe that there is a new chapter to kind of turn there. But, Allie, I got this trusty new Apple Watch for Father's Day.
So nice.
And yesterday, when it dinged and I looked down and I saw Kyle Pitts gets extension, I just kind of did what? And looked back at it and saw, everything starting to pop up, push notifications, text messages, and all the above. So was I surprised at the timing? Yeah, I really was. But once you start diving deeper into it, I think it allowed me to be a little bit more excited about it.
I was sleeping. I'd fallen asleep after our show call, and I woke up. And it's one of those deals where, when you see breaking news and you retweet it or you tweet a quick thought on it because it's literally just breaking. And I was like, and I do that a lot, but by the time I saw the Kyle Pitts news, it was probably like an hour and a half because after it had popped up, and I was like, oh well, I guess I missed the boat on comment right away. I want to say, yeah, I'm shocked. They did have until I think July 15th, to renegotiate a contract with him because of the franchise tag. And I look at it now, and if you were okay with paying him the $15 million for the franchise tag, right? Then why are you not okay with the $18 million he's going to get paid? Because that's what happens. They rip the franchise tag contract up. This isn't the normal extension where, like with Drake, he's still going to play under his 5th year this year.
Correct.
This is one where they rip it up. It's essentially
that's a big point to be made. I'm glad you made that point because that's a massive point to be made. This is not drawing things out.
No, this doesn't mean he has here 4. This doesn't mean it's a 3-year extension on top of the 1 year and it's a 4-year deal. This means he has technically 3 years you have him under contract. The reality of it, it's a 2-year deal because they fully guaranteed $36 million. And I think it depends to me on how you view this contract. Depends on how you view Kyle Pitts. This show has been very honest about Kyle Pitts as a tight end, and does he do everything that you necessarily want in a tight end? And I don't think this show believes that if you view it as a traditional tight end spot, inline blocking, that kind of stuff. However, Kyle has been most productive when he's been used in a less traditional way. Last year he had the big breakout the last 7 or 8 games when he was used a lot in a power slot, which was kind of Drake's position. And his rookie year he was used a lot as a really just an all-around receiver. That's when he had 1,000 yards. If you view him in that light as the more of an all-around receiver, this is a phenomenal deal because you're getting a number 2 receiver. Don't use wide receiver, but a number 2 receiving threat for $18 million, which is in the eyes of other wide receivers, I mean, not that bad. Cooper Kupp, I know he was at one time an elite wide receiver, but I think we'd all agree kind of on a decline. He's making $17.5 million.
I think it's a great point to make. And that's the thing, because you're spot on. We've tried to be honest about this because, first of all, I'm hungry for a run game that I know will help the quarterback process, the passing game, everything else that comes along with that. Doesn't just mean Bijan goes for 1,500 yards. That means situationally, can you exploit some of the matchups you're getting? But you also have to be honest with yourself about what Kyle Pitts' stats are and what he should be asked to do. And I think that's the way I've kind of looked at this is Kevin Stefanski, we listened to a cut yesterday about Kevin Stefanski talking about, hey, there are certain roles. There's things he can do, inline tight end, in the backfield, in the slot. Guys, we just said he's the third highest average annual value. I think the fourth is Isaiah Likely. Has anybody looked at his stats from a year ago? It's not even – we're not even in the ballpark. We're not even at half of what Kyle Pitts' output is in terms of the receiving game. So I think there's a point where you have to look at it like Bo's talking about and say, hey, you might look at a tight end that is a flawed blocker, but you also have to look at the receiving skills. And when you kind of pony up to that aspect of it, it's not some kind of crazy, outlandish deal that's going to be Justin Jefferson type money. It's just not.
And look, I throw away 22 because of the injury. Okay? I think that's fair. But if you look at his 23 and 24 numbers, 100 catches, 1,269 yards, and 7 touchdowns, I think if that was what we got, to me personally, if that's what we saw after these next 2 years, I would tell you it wasn't worth the money. Sorry, but it wasn't. If you look at his 21 and his 25, where he had 150, 60 catches for 2,000 yards and 6 touchdowns, the touchdowns I could do more. But I would tell you, you know what? That was worth it. That was absolutely worth it. But the blocking thing is always going to be a deal for me because you do ask him to do that. And I do need him to do that.
I agree.
And I think that's the thing is the totality of the 5 years, you would say he wasn't worth maybe the 4th overall pick. But you look at some bookend years and you say, well, who's that on? And I don't blame everything on quarterbacks because we've had guys like Drake London who've still performed.
When Drake was signed, we talked about how Ian Cunningham was staying true to his word. He said, let us get through free agency, let us get through the draft, and then we'll worry about contract extensions. Drake came through. He also said Bijan was top of mind. Where is Bijan in this? Because Kyle Pitts was not a part of that conversation.
I truly don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And Allie, I think you asked us about a month ago, or maybe it was after the Drake extension, but I felt like it was before. It was like, okay, at what point can we expect the Bijan thing? And I'm like, any day.
Yeah.
Because I think we all agree, look, he's a top 3, if not the best running back in the NFL. You add in the youth to that and the ability, to be available. We always say the best ability is availability. And I think that he has to be at top of mind. I did not expect Kyle Pitts' extension to come before Bijan Robinson. Again, though, this is not like some kind of outlandish, record-breaking 5-year extension. This is very much within the realm of kind of what they've tried to do and map out the next couple of years. And I also think that Bijan, and I know, Bo and I kind of talked about it before the show, Bijan is that's not something that has to happen right now. It's something you'd like to do.
Yeah, you got 2 years left, and you don't need to, and anything you do would be an extension on top of that. There's also the fact that Bijan might tell them, I'm fine. Let's wait. They could be talking at the same time. There's no rush. You have Bijan. He's going into year 4. You have him for the 5th year option, which is done. You already picked it up. And then you could tag him if you want to. Now, I don't think you will. I think you'll get it done probably by middle of year or it would be done by this time next year. But this whole thing that you're doing Bijan wrong by not paying him yet, that's a fallacy. That's a flawed mindset. And I know that the argument is, yeah, but him and Jahmyr Gibbs are going to reset the market and blah, blah, blah. So? You know what resets the market every year? The salary cap going up. That's what it's not the only reason they can reset the market, and that's allotted, is because agents and players and teams all know that, hey, we just got $20 million a year extra because the cap went up. And the cap's going to go up every year. You know the last time the cap went down? COVID. Guess why? Because the gate sales were non-existent. Concession stands were non-existent for half the year. Other than that, the market is resetting itself because of guys' contracts coming up and a salary cap going up. So Bijan doesn't need to be done in the summer with 2 years left on his deal before year 4.
So when you say that this is a pretty good deal for Kyle Pitts, this contract extension is not out of control, would you have been comfortable paying him more?
No, I wouldn't have, and I'm glad that it's structured the way it is. And I'm going to give Bo credit because he brought this up off the top. This is, you already owed him 16.8 or whatever it was for the tag this year. All right, now you're paying him a couple million more essentially this year, and you owe him $21 million after that. That's not something that backs you in the corner. And we've made jokes about the optionality that it seems like Ian Cunningham has brought to the table. The bottom line is, and I know that I've been on opposite sides of the table with Bo on this, you have so many holes that need to be filled. And remember, you only had 5 draft picks this year. You have so many holes that need to be filled. It's not like you're going to go, oh, we'll let him go. We'll go get somebody else. You know what I mean? We'll go out and find our own Brock Bowers next year. We'll let that tag expire. We'll let him sign next year. That's not, I think Ian Cunningham and company understand that's not how you can operate right now. All right. Secure what he is for what he is. Utilize him at what he's good at over the next couple of years. And again, figure out what you have at the quarterback position. And then let's go, full throttle forward.
That's what made me laugh is those, because we've been labeled Kyle Pitts haters unfairly just because we're very fair and honest about what we see from him. And the people taking victory laps, and I was like, some guy was like, are you mad? I'm like, why? Like, you didn't overpay. Like, I was relieved when I saw the number. When I saw 3 years, 54, and then it was 2 years, 36 guaranteed, the 36 guaranteed, I was like, I mean, you're already paying him like 15.7 this year.
Yeah.
So I was actually relieved. And so I would have been mad if they overpaid him, yeah.
I think 2 things can be true. Would I have wanted to pay him more? Absolutely not. Am I happy for Kyle Pitts, though? The person. Yes, I am happy and excited for him because I do think there's a new chapter in there. I really do.
If you take people at their word, which I try to do until they give me major reason not to, he wants to be here. He's built his family here. I think he didn't want to go test the market just to get paid this ridiculous amount because he thought he could get it. I think he wanted to be here.